Hello and a very warm welcome to the Question Hour show from the Parliament House complex, where we bring you important unstarred questions that were asked by the members of the upper house during the previous session. I'm Kriti Mishra, and joining me is my colleague Vishal.
Well, thank you so much, Kriti. So let's take our viewers through some important questions in this episode. And the first question of the show comes to the Ministry of Steel, and this is from member GC Chandrasekhar, who wants to know from the government whether the small-scale steel industries are not getting enough scrap for steel production in the country, including in the state of Madhya Pradesh.
Well, the government has given a very specific response here, and the government goes on to say that steel is a deregulated sector. The matters of procurement, operations, sales, marketing and also investment are taken up by the companies concerned based on commercial considerations and market dynamics. The usage of scrap by steel producing units and scrap processing units is a commercial decision of the units. The scrap can be procured domestically or through imports. There are no restrictions on importing or domestically procuring scrap by steel producing units. The government does not regulate the steel scrap supply situation in the country, including in the state of Madhya Pradesh. The next question is by member Ramachar Netam, and this one is also to the Ministry of Steel. And Mr. Netam has asked whether Steel Authority of India Limited has started expansion and modernization of its steel plants.
Well, the Steel Ministry has responded to this question in affirmative, and it further says that SAIL took up modernization and expansion of its 5 integrated steel plants at Bhilai in Chhattisgarh, Bokaro in Jharkhand, Rourkela in Odisha, Durgapur in West Bengal and Burnpur in West Bengal, and special steel plant at Salem in Tamil Nadu. The modernization of expansion of Bhilai steel plant, that is BSP, was undertaken to enhance its crude steel production capacity from 3.93 million tons per annum MTPA to 7.0 MTPA at a total approved cost of 21,344 crore rupees. All newly added facilities under integrated process route of Bhilai steel plant have been installed and are under operation and stabilization. Further, the ministry says the completion of modernization and expansion projects at BSP got affected due to poor performance of contractors, and the expansion of Salem was completed in September 2010. The modernized and expanded Rourkela steel plant and IISCO steel plant Burnpur have been dedicated to the nation on 1st of April 2015 and 10th of May 2015 respectively. The modernization and expansion of Durgapur steel plant and Bokaro steel plant have been completed in June 2015 and September 2015. The integrated process route of modernization and expansion at Bhilai steel plant has been dedicated to the nation as on 14th of June 2018. Well, the next question is addressed to the Ministry of Space, and this one comes in from member Revati Raman Singh, who wants to know from the government about the present status of Gaganyaan project previously carried out by the government.
Well, in the response, the government says that the Gaganyaan project is approved by the Government of India and is operating under a newly formed Centre Human Space Flight Centre. Gaganyaan project team is already identified and appropriate management system is in place. The design activities are progressing for the targeted manned flight in December 2021. The government further says that in order to meet the stringent schedule, help is being sought from Russia and France for human-centric systems which ISRO would gain experience. The specific areas for collaboration have been identified wherein Russia and France could help in meeting the Gaganyaan schedule. Discussions are also in advanced stages with Russia in the areas of environmental control and life support system and part of the crew selection and also training. With France, the discussions are on proceeding with respect to training of flight, surgeons and long-term activities on bio, astronautics, combined development and also experiments in space medicine area. The next question has been posed to the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and this one has been asked by member Dharmapuri Srinivas. And Mr. Srinivas has asked whether the government is establishing Eklavya model residential schools across the country for the development of tribal regions.
The Ministry of Tribal Affairs, in its response to this question, says that Eklavya model of residential schools aim to provide quality upper primary, secondary and senior secondary level education to scheduled tribe students in remote areas to enable them to access the best opportunities in education and to bring them at par with the general population. Earlier, it was a component of activities carried out through grants under Article 275(1). During 2018-19, a separate scheme was introduced. As per the extent approval of the government, every block with more than 50% ST population and at least 20,000 tribal persons will have an Eklavya model residential school by the year 2022. Across the country, as per Census 2011 figures, there are 564 sub-districts, that is blocks, taluka, tehsil, having more than 50% ST population and at least 20,000 tribal persons. Out of these 564 sub-districts, EMRSs are sanctioned in 102 sub-districts at the inception of the scheme. From the remaining 462 sub-districts, 145 new EMRS and 5 new Eklavya model day boarding schools are sanctioned during 2018-19 and 2019-20 across the country. Lastly, funds are released to the states for construction of EMRSs as well as for recurring costs based on the actual number of students enrolled in all EMRSs in the state in a particular year. Extinct cost norms for new EMRS is 20 crore rupees in the case of Northeast, hilly area, difficult areas and areas affected by left-wing extremism. Cost may go up by 20% over the normal cost norm. The recurring cost per student per year is 1,09,000 rupees with effect from the year 2019-20. Well, the next question comes in from member Parimal Nathwani, and this one is also addressed to the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, wherein the member wants to know about the details of steps taken by the government during the last 3 years to improve the socio-economic condition of tribals in the country.
In the reply, the government says that Ministry of Tribal Affairs was set up with the objective to have more focused approach on the integrated socio-economic development of scheduled tribes, the most underprivileged of the Indian society, in a coordinated and planned manner. This ministry is the nodal ministry for overall policy, planning and coordination of programs for development of STs in the country. Government has adopted a holistic approach for development of tribal people living across the country, including in the states of Jharkhand, Gujarat, which includes support for education, health, sanitation, water supply, skill development, livelihood. Major part of infrastructure development and provision of basic amenities in tribal areas or regions in the country is carried out through schemes and programs of concerned central ministries and state governments concerned, while the Ministry of Tribal Affairs provides additive to these initiatives by way of plugging critical gaps. Data pertaining to census, large-scale surveys conducted by the National Sample Survey Office and other surveys conducted by different ministries and departments of Government of India reveal that there have been considerable improvements in socio-economic conditions of scheduled tribes across the country, including in the states of Jharkhand and also Gujarat. For example, the percentage of scheduled tribes below poverty line in rural areas has improved from 47.4% in the year 2009-10 to 45.3% in the year 2011-12. Literacy rate for STs has also improved from 47.1% in 2009-10 to 59% in 2011. Infant mortality rate has declined from 62.1% in 2005-6 to 44.4% in 2015-16, and institutional delivery improved from 17.7% in 2005-6 to 68% in the year 2015-16. The next question is from member Lal Singh Vadodia, and this one is to the Ministry of Tourism. And Mr. Vadodia has asked whether it is a fact that government is seriously considering to promote tourism sector in India.
Well, in its response, the Ministry of Tourism says that it has 2 schemes for the promotion of tourism. Domestic promotion and publicity, including hospitality for promotion of domestic tourism, and restructured scheme of overseas promotion and publicity, including marketing development assistance to promote Indian tourism in overseas markets. Under these schemes, the Ministry of Tourism, as part of its ongoing activities, annually releases print, electronic, online and outdoor media campaigns in the international and domestic markets. Under the Incredible India brand line to promote various tourism destinations and products of the country. Promotions are also undertaken through the social media accounts and the website of the ministry. In addition, the India tourism offices in India and overseas disseminate information and undertake various promotional activities with the objective of showcasing the varied tourist destinations and products of the country. Well, the next question is also addressed to the Ministry of Tourism, and this one comes in from member Ramnath Thakur, who wants to know from the government about the details of the places related to Lord Rama included in the proposed Ramayana circuit to promote the religious tourism in the state of Bihar.
In the response, the government says that the Ministry of Tourism has initially identified 15 destinations for development under the Ramayana circuit theme of Swadesh Darshan scheme, namely Ayodhya, Nandigram, Shringverpur, Chitrakoot, Sitamarhi, Buxar, Darbhanga, again Chitrakoot in Madhya Pradesh, Mahendra Nagari, Jagdalpur, Nashik, Nagpur, and also Hampi and Rameshwaram. The ministry has requested the state governments to formulate project proposals to be undertaken under the Ramayana circuit for development. These projects are sanctioned subject to their adherence to relevant guidelines, schemes, submission of suitable detailed project reports, availability of funds and also utilization of funds released earlier by the government. So Vishal, those were the important questions and answers that we had in today's edition of Question Hour.
Well, yes, indeed. But after the break, our colleagues Arvind Singh and Kriti Singh will bring you some more questions in Hindi in Prashn Kaal. Stay tuned to Rajya Sabha Television.